It's your boy Concert Viz 34, aka the only homie that can rock the Allman Brothers shirt and give a review about 30 Seconds to Mars in the same video. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I love music of all sorts, except Nickelback and a bunch of other bands that I'm not too into. But I really try to listen to everything. Don't know much country. That's kind of another blank spot or blind spot. But I love music of all kinds. So I wanted to give my thoughts on 30 Seconds to Mars' new album titled America. The funny thing is, this album actually is catered for an international or European market. And I'll talk about that in a moment. For those of y'all who like my jam band videos and reviews, I'll be coming with some of those still throughout this summer. It's going to be lit this summer, hitting up Tedeschi Trucks, DMB. Hopefully the Avid Brothers, I can get to one of them joints out here. I think I can't make Jones Beach, or no, I can't make Mansfield, but hopefully I'll get Jones Beats. But I'll be having some jam band joints coming up for videos, and I want to talk alternative rock here right now. So this, again, 30 Seconds to Mars, fifth album, titled America. It fits the Concert Viz 34 criteria of get in and out in under an hour. This is under 45 minutes as far as the standard issued version of America. It's very quick. And that's always a good thing with an older band. I don't care how talented you are. When you get up in age, you can't write like you used to. Cut it down. 12 songs, 10 songs, under 45 minutes, if possible. That's what 30 Seconds to Mars does. But this album sounds a lot different than other 30 Seconds to Mars albums. And it reminds me of Linkin Park. We'll get into that in a moment. But I want to talk about not track by track by track. I'm not going to do that. Everyone does that, and there's a lot of great people that can do that for you with this album better than me. But what I want to talk about is why the band decided to pretty much eliminate the guitar. You know, if we're talking jobs in the economy, Jared, the lead singer, just say, you know what, I'm cutting electric guitar jobs right now on this album, and hopefully they still pay the electric guitarist for 30 Seconds to Mars to tour, because he's not going to get a lot of shine with these new tracks. But we want to talk about why this happened, and I have a couple reasons. Give me your reasons in the comments as well. And before I get into those reasons, let's talk about how this album reminds me of what Linkin Park did in their last album, and RIP to Chester Bennington. And you saw I gave a review of that prior to Chester's passing, where I was just like, yo, this is crazy. Like, this album, it's forgettable. It makes me not want to go see Linkin Park, and I do wish I had a chance to see Linkin Park one more time, unfortunately, because of that passing. But the gist of it was Linkin Park was going full pop. They had pop singers singing on their joints. They had a pop sound, and while they've had a very popular backing on the radio since day one, A Hybrid Theory, In the End, and Crawling, they still had hard electric guitar parts. There were still deep cuts. It feels funny saying Linkin Park deep cuts because they are still a relatively new band in the sense of they're not like a classic, but yeah, I like their old stuff, yeah. But it's 2018. Anyway, they really changed it up and went full pop for the last album. And 30 Seconds to Mars kind of did the same thing. Linkin Park and 30 Seconds to Mars, who have toured together, they've hinted at songs that are very popish, but they follow up that song with a really hard, hammering electric guitar song. So you have Linkin Park having albums like Minutes to Midnight, where they have these poppy songs, but then they go, boom, next, No More Sorrow, boom, we killing it. And same thing with 30 Seconds to Mars. They've had songs like Hurricane on a This Is War, but then they've had songs like Night of the Hunter that just, boom, you're going ham with those electric guitars, same album. So they really balance it out. So fans still support it, say, you know what, we'll let these fully pop songs slide because you know what, and fully electronic songs slide because there's still electric guitar in these other songs. But both bands, 30 Seconds to Mars and Linkin Park, in the last 2 years of them releasing music, they both went full pop, and it scared a lot of fans. But it also, what people won't realize in America, and maybe they will realize it, but they won't like it, because I want to give fans more credit. that they understand why bands do this. But the international fans aren't going to be freaking out as much. As a matter of fact, the international fans are going to be even more excited. Not all of them. Some of these international fans for Linkin Park like them because they're aggressive and hard and they can rage and mosh. But some of these international fans grew up in regions like in the UK where the electronic music is popping. You can have no electric guitars and be dope and accepted in the UK. And you can do it in America too, but in the UK, it's more commonplace and it's less, oh my gosh, there's no electric guitars. They're okay with it. So this album, America, is actually going to help 30 Seconds to Mars when they go overseas for the European portion of the tour. And that's because, again, this is those markets overseas in Europe love this electronic music. So I think they clearly are trying to market this so that they can get some cash, not only for this year, but for the years to come over in Europe. And then even in Japan and wherever they want to go. They can have that worldly feel. Also, the simplistic lyrics and the simplistic concepts of this album are going to be popular for non-English speaking countries where you have something people can just go, and hold it out. They're going to love that. They don't have to worry about knowing every English word. And shout out to people overseas because they learn English much better than we learn their other languages. So this is going to be really well financially for 30 Seconds to Mars overseas. That's reason number one why I think they went full pop. The second reason I think they kind of did this as well is they want to find new money and new marketing in the United States. When you have an artist like Halsey, who is very popular in pop radio, and you put her on a track, you're going to get new fans that come to you. In an era where alternative rock is not gaining as many fans as it used to, and hip hop is growing tremendously, exponentially, and it's taking over new markets, having an ASAP Rocky spit on a track is going to get heads to turn. People aren't going to necessarily just be diehard 30 Seconds to Mars fans, but they're going to look on the radio. They may buy the single. Oh, ASAP's on it. That's cool. Yeah, man, ASAP. That's cool. So they're going to get people to turn heads, and that's new money. And the other thing is, not only are they going to get those people to turn their heads, if they're at a festival, 30 Seconds to Mars is going to be more marketable because they have the A$AP Rocky feature. They have a Halsey feature. So when they can go to the negotiating table with the festival that has more of an electronic vibe, not a full electronic vibe, but a more pop and electronic vibe, they can say, you know what, you need to put us on this because we got all these songs right here we could play that the people that are targeted for this festival that's more mainstream and for younger people being the key, not people who, like me, grew up with 30 Seconds to Mars and now I'm almost 30, but this next generation will be entertained and excited to see them right before 30 Seconds to Mars is a gateway to the Justin Bieber or the Selena Gomez or whoever is headlining, the Rihanna. You know, you have an A$AP Rocky song, and, oh, it's A$AP. You can play that song before Rihanna comes on. So it's going to be something that they can use to make money and get more money from festivals. And the other thing that I'm looking at to why they kind of did this is, and I don't know label stuff as well as many other experts here on YouTube, but I have a feeling that the label is pushing for bands like Linkin Park and for 30 Seconds to Mars to have something that's more pop friendly, because alternative rock and rock music is not as popular as it used to be. These rock artists can't even sell out a college show anymore, but a pop artist can. A rap artist can sell out a predominantly white middle of nowhere school in Kansas or Michigan or Connecticut where I live better than an actual all white rock band can. And that's just to be honest, that's just to prove a point that that's how this world is right now. Hip hop is popping. Pop is still good, and electronic influences in music is the end thing. So I have a feeling that the label somehow is, and I know 30 Seconds to Mars is like, no, we don't care about the label, and they fought the label that they were on, but I don't know. There's something that's telling me that whoever is trying to help these bands out, like 30 Seconds to Mars and Linkin Park, someone's telling them to just go more worldy on this. Have the pop artists come in. Bring in, well, Linkin Park's always had rappers featured, but bring in the rappers 30 Seconds to Mars. Bring in the rappers, insert pop artists here. It's something that I feel like it's something that the label saying, look, in order for this to be released, we need this on the album. So I'm sure most of you aren't shocked by the reasons I gave. I'm sure you know many of these, but I think that that's really, if you were hoping that 30 Seconds to Mars was going to go back to that A Beautiful Lie or their first album type sound, I'm sure you may have thought that was impossible. Some people may have just hoped for it and it didn't happen, but I just think that bands like this aren't going to go back. I mean, Linkin Park tried to go back with the album before that, The Hunting Party, I believe. They just went straight up ham, like the old nu metal style, and it didn't really hit well. Now, the fans loved it, but it didn't hit the charts as well. It wasn't as tourable internationally as, having more pop music was. So it's something interesting. Something's going on here, and these alternative rock bands you may have grown up like I did with about 18 to 20 years ago, they are changing, and they are not going back to their old ways, and they're trying to latch on to younger artists. That's a big thing. With the ASAPs and the Halseys and even Linkin Park having Stormzy's, these older artists are trying to connect with the youth, and it's isolating fans. And actually, the fans with more money are the older ones, but the older fans have been away for a bit. They didn't like Living Things by Linkin Park. They didn't like what was it? It was Love, Lust, and Faith and Dreams, whatever that joint was, the last 30 Seconds to Mars. So they've been away for a while. They don't expect them to come back. So they're really banking on these young kids to catch on and to be a fan of this band, because I am someone that now that I'm getting to almost 30, I'm seeing bands I grew up with have fans that are 10. There's fans that are 5. Just like I go to these Allman Brothers shows, they're like, man, you look like you 25, man. How you know about the Allman Brothers and the Grateful Dead, and how you know about the Who, and how you know about the Rush back when I went to the Rush final tour. And now I'm starting to see that at the beginning stages as I'm about to hit 30 in 2 years, 2.5 years here, that these younger fans are what older bands, 20-year-old bands, are trying to go after, because they've already lost their loyalists. The day one fans have been gone. So definitely like, comment, subscribe. This was just a poke. I'm trying to take an estimated guess to exactly why this happened. You may already know everything I've said in this video, but I really think a lot of these bands, man, alternative rock is not. People say hip hop's dead. No, hip hop's not dead. You got the Kendrick Lamars, you have the J. Coles, you have the dudes like that just spit freestyles and they get fans to the shows. You get the one-hit wonders. Hip hop is growing, but alternative rock is at a crossroads. Mainstream rock has been dead for a bit. There's few rock bands, truly rock bands, that are young, that are 5 years old, that get sold out shows across the country. And the older bands of rock are struggling in certain markets, in certain demographics. So times are changing. Times are a-changing. And we'll see what happens with bands like 30 Seconds to Mars, with the Linkin Parks, the Fall Out Boys, I've never been that much into Fall Out Boy, the My Chemical Romances. There's something, things are changing. Warped Tour is being shut down. There's no more Warped Tour. And the genres of alternative rock of all sorts and rock are having some decisions to make. Some people are having to go mainstream to get that paper. But definitely like, comment, subscribe. Otherwise, I'm out.